නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස.
Last Friday we started our sutta. So Girimananda Sutta we discussed the background story and also overall the content of the sutta. So now we know the background story of the Girimananda Sutta. This sutta was delivered by the Buddha to Venerable Ananda in order to heal the patient monk. So then Venerable Ananda learned the sutta from the Buddha. Later on, he chanted in front of this patient monk called Girimananda. At the end of the sutta, it is said that this monk recovered totally from the sickness, physical pain and mental pain. So that is the simply story behind this sutta. And then in this sutta throughout is a somewhat long sutta. So throughout the sutta it is explained 10 perceptions. So in another way, these are actually different types of meditation, but these are actually we can say interrelated. All the contents of these 10 types of meditation related to each other. We discuss one of them, anattasaññā, perception of impermanence. So you remember that, and then we discuss what it is meant by Pali. So how one monk reflect when he is in the either in the monastery or in a secluded place, practicing meditation. So he has to think here. Form is impermanence, feeling is impermanent, perception is impermanence, fabrications are impermanence, consciousness is impermanence. So it is just not like telling mantra or reciting mantra. Actually, the monks here understand the teaching of the Buddha. Monks or monastics supposed to learn the Buddha's teaching during the Buddha's time, and then having understood basics teaching of the Buddha, such as Four Noble Truths, and then they practice this way. These are called actually 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, fabrication, and consciousness. 5 aggregate is something that we are to experience. All these factors mentioned here is to experience. It is nothing to merely find in the books. For an example, form. Aggregated form is actually, it is our sensory experience. Feeling here is nothing but sensory experience. Perception, fabrications, consciousness, everything is our actually finally sensory experience. Due to our these sensory experiences. We have this we call name and form, nama rupa. We have that fabrication. We have that consciousness with regard to our sensory experience. We have perception with regard to our sensory experience. We have aggregate of feeling due to our sensory experience. We have aggregate of form due to our sensory experience. So now we understand that these terms, though it seems that very technical, these are actually sensory experience, our day-to-day life experience. So whenever we experience this, we have Buddha instructed here to have a perception of impermanence, anattasaññā. Whatever we experience as form, to think as impermanence. At the very moment, it is to experience, it is to see, it is to know and it is to see. It is to know and it is to see. Form is impermanence, feeling is impermanence, perception is impermanence, fabrications are impermanence, consciousness is impermanence. In this way, one can have this perception of impermanence in him as a practice of this. So this practice gradually break through our wrong notion of sakkaya ditthi. So ordinary people, we have a personality belief which push us in the samsara. So what we need to hear is to break through this personality belief. It is a view. So that is why very beginning as a meditation practice, Buddha mentioned here perception of impermanence. We discussed last week this, just to remind it again. Today we are going to discuss about this. 𝗕𝗵𝘆 anattasaññā. You can see what is the perception of not self or soullessness. Perception of soullessness, selflessness, or not self. So I would like to first recite in Pali. ඛතමාචානන්ද අනත්තසඤ්ඤා ඉදානන්ද බික්ඛු අරඤ්ඤගතෝවා රුක්ඛමූලගතෝවා ශුඤ්ඤාගාරගතෝවා ඉතිපටිසංචික්ඛති චක්ඛුං අනත්තා රූපා අනත්තා සෝතං අනත්තා සද්ධා අනත්තා ඝානං අනත්තා ගන්ධා අනත්තා ජීවහා අනත්තා රසා අනත්තා කායෝ අනත්තා පොට්ඨබ්බා අනත්තා මනෝ අනත්තා ධම්මා අනත්තාති ඉති ඉමේසු චසු අඤ්ඤත්තික බාහිරේසු ආයතනේසු අනත්තානුපස්සී විහෙරති අයං උච්චතානන්ද anattasaññā. That is how it is mentioned in Pali. Now we come to see the translation of that Pali. What is the perception of soullessness or not self? There is the case where a monk, having gone to a wilderness, to the shade of a tree or to an empty building, so that monk or nun reflects thus. I is not self, form is not self, the ear is not self, sounds are not self, the nose is not self, aromas are not self, the tongue is not self, flavors are not self, the body is not self, tactile sensations are not self, the intellect is not self, ideas are not self. Thus, he remains focused on not selfness or selflessness with regard to the six inner and outer sense media. This is called the perception of not self. This is the translation of the Pali Sutta, portion of the Sutta. So we understand simply that. Now you can see what Buddha here mentioned in the Sutta as second practice, anattasaññā. So anatta is, you understand, it is a very profound teaching of the Buddha. It is called, simply it is translated as soullessness, no soul, no self, or so different words used in English. So that means there is no permanent entity to be called I, me, myself, but it is a combination of things we call paticcasamuppanna dhamma, conditionally arising thing, paticcasamuppanna dhamma. But as ordinary people, our tendency is to take these things as one entity. Finally, we take this as I, me, myself. This belief of I, me, myself actually lead to suffering. So here, that is why, as a second practice of in the Sutta, Buddha advised monks to reflect these 12 bases we call dvādasāyatana in Pali. 12 bases are selfless, soulless. So these are conditionally arising things. So now we can divide these 12 bases into two. We call 6 internal bases and 6 external bases. Ajjattikāyatana, 𝗵𝗿𝘆āyatana. So we understand ajjattika chakku eye, chakku sota ear, ghana nose, jihva tongue, kaya body, mano mind, chakku sota ghana jihva kaya mana, mind based or consciousness. These 6 are called internal bases. Ajjattikāyatana. So there are corresponding objects. They are called 𝗵𝗿𝘆āyatana. 6 external bases. We know visible objects, form, auditory objects, sound, odor, taste, body impression or contact, mind object or thinking or thoughts. So these are called external objects, bases, 𝗵𝗿𝘆āyatana. Now altogether we call dvādasāyatana. Now as a practitioner, we have to see things as they truly are. So it is called to see through, penetrate, to see things with wisdom. Then here now we have to understand, we think in terms of I, me and myself. These are we call sensory experience. These six internal bases are we call in another way 6 sense doors. 6 sense doors. Through these 6 sense doors, we have experience with external world. Whenever we have sensory experience with the help of these 12 bases, we believe our experience is to think permanent. Our experience is to think happiness. Our experience is to think things as their self, self or I, me, and mine. Finally, it creates a 5 holding aggregates. Then it furthermore creates Sakkaya Ditthi, we call view of self notion. Simply we understand in general term, it is called I. This I is actually created notion. It is, we call the doctrinal term is Sakkaya Ditthi. This mental body or physical body we take as permanent entity. Then we give a name, it is called I, me and myself. In terms of this thinking, in terms of this I, me and my, we continue our activities. So that is how we create actually karma. Gradually it paves way the continuity of the samsara. Now this we have to break through this. We have to break this process. How can we do that? That is by practicing insight. That is why Buddha asked to reflect. I is we call selfless. Ear is selfless. Nose is selfless, not self. Tongue is not self. Body is not self. Mind. We have to think in terms of that way. I mean, in terms of selfless or selflessness. Anatta. This is also actually we have to understand as not as a mantra. You know, mantra means we do not know the meaning, but just we recite. We have to go to the sensory experience level. When we see things, these things actually appear to in front of our eye without having been before. Having been, they disappear without residue. When we see object through our eyes, the object comes to contact without having been before. Having been, they disappear without residue. This is how it happens in every moment. So that is the process. Conditionally arisen, then disappear, arising and disappear. So these things actually we call I, also form, also therefore. These are we call conditionally arisen things. When things are conditionally arisen, they are actually, we cannot find any permanent entity there. We call I or I, me or myself. But as ordinary people, we used to say, I see, I hear. So this way of thinking, we can use these terms. It is not a problem. But the thing is, when we have an insight of this experience, this sensory experience, it reduces our process of samsara. That is why Buddha advised here to think in terms of selflessness, not self. It is actually profound teaching anyway. So anatta, so lessness or selflessness. Now for an example, now we may have a lot of things, material and immaterial. Materially, I mean, you have your own computer. You say my computer. You may have your own car, your car. You say my car. You may have a smartphone. This is my smartphone. Sometimes, suppose you have a friend overseas you never met before. You came across this friend through the social media. Then, even though you did not meet him or her before, with your chat, now you come to contact with him or her. Now you have you have a bondage somewhat. Then what happened? You used to think, this is my friend. That is my friend. So in this way, actually, we used to think that way. Then mine. Suppose something happened to him or her who is in the overseas, who is also my friend. Now, something badly happened to him or her. Then what happened? I used to think my friend who is in the overseas going to face some danger, thinking that I also get worried. So now you see, very beginning, I did not have a friendship. I came to a person who stayed in overseas. We had a relationship and bondage. Then, even though I did not meet him, I used to say, this is my friend from America, or USA, UK, or so and so. Then, whenever something happened that you do not like to her, something happened, you become worried. So, in the same manner, we come to our normal situation, family background. As I mentioned earlier, we have different material objects that we call that is belong to me or I. My car, my property, my children, my phone, my everything. That's so-called mine. But actually, if I can say these are mine, then I must be able to control all these. But actually, these things are beyond my control in one way, because they are subject to change. So then, whenever they are subject to change, then what happens? I experience unhappiness, suffering. If something happened to my car, then I worry. When something happened to my phone, then I also regret or worry. When something happened to my children, then I'm worried about that. So husband or wife, so on. So then, that is what the Buddha mentioned, that truly we cannot control anything in the world, because these things come to exist as a result of causes and conditions. They are not controlling by somebody supernatural powers. There is no behind any supernatural being who control all this. This is called causes and conditions. Things are rising due to causes and conditions. Things disappear, relevant causes and conditions come end. Having come to end, these results also come to end. So that is why Buddha advised to see the reality. Reality is this view we call self-notion is a creation. Is created by ourselves. Self-notion we call sakkaya ditthi is sakkaya ditthi. Ditthi, you understand? View. Ditthi is a view. So ditthi is a view. That means our view. Our view is we grasp things that we experience as me, my, and myself. That way of thinking actually leads to suffering. When we understand true nature of this as anatta, then it reduces our suffering. When we completely understand this notion, that means one attain sotapanna. That means he or she does not have a strong personality belief, sakkaya ditthi. So he or she understands things arises conditionally. Things are conditionally arising. So therefore, that person who understood this does not think to control anything. He just observe. He or she does not interfere this process. Now our way is actually we want to interfere. So therefore, this is what the Sutta explain. Think in terms of selflessness. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. All these 12 bases as selfless. And in the Dhammapada, it is mentioned in the Dhammapada, Putta matti dhanam matti 𝗕𝗵𝘆𝘆𝗶𝗀𝗀 𝗵𝗏𝘆 Putto putta kuto dhanan. It is very interesting. Now we have to understand this way is not the way of world. The way of world is actually the way the people think ordinary. The people thinking and the Buddha's teaching is totally different. The paññā we call wisdom, way of wisdom, and the way of thinking of the people are totally different. So that is why we have to correctly understand the Dhamma. And again we have to study. Again and again we have to read it, study, repeat, practice. Only then we can have a little bit of understanding of Dhamma. It is not easy because we have been practicing this way for a long time in this samsara. So bit by bit we have to work hard on that. Then only we can understand. Otherwise, we do not think in this way. We think ordinary way of thinking. You see the very interesting verse here, the Dhammapada. I took this verse from the Dhammapada, Balavagga. Putta matti dhanam matti. I have sons. I have wealth. 𝗕𝗵𝘆𝘆𝗶𝗀𝗀. This is how foolish people or fool is thinking. Or he or she attached this way of thinking. I have sons. I have wealth. 𝗕𝗵𝘆𝗆𝗀𝗀𝗏. Indeed, he himself is not his own. Kuto putta kuto dhana. How can sons and wealth be his? So this is very interesting. Now today we understand when we come to this world, we came to this world with empty hands. After coming to this world, we have so many things. We have accumulated so many things. It is not wrong to have many things. The problem is attachment. Having many things is not a problem. We may have anything, material, as our possession. It is not a problem. Problem is our attachment to these material things. So we have to remove this attachment. That is what the Buddha said. So during the Buddha's time, there were many wealthy people. There were many wealthy men and women, those who realized Dhamma. But yet they possessed a lot of property, a lot of wealth, but they did not have a strong attachment to that. They could let go gradually. I would like to pay attention to again this. As I mentioned earlier, during the Buddha's time, there were many wealthy people, like 𝗖𝗂𝗂𝗃. 𝗖𝗂𝗃 was the chief female attendant to the Buddha. So she was very wealthy and also wise. So she led an ordinary life. I mean, having a children, having a family life, but still she was a Sotapanna. That means one who understands the Dhamma actually can lead a more happier life than the others, because they understand things that they experience is not permanent, cannot control anymore, saying that it is mine, myself, and me. Therefore, they can easily let go anything. When they can easily let go anything, they can experience equanimity. It's a wonderful thing. Though some people used to say that Buddhism is pessimistic, because the Buddha's approach is to open the mind of the people, pointing out the reality. Reality is this: when we know the reality, so we no need to worry. We can accept it. So we understand finally, so-called our body, physical body also actually become dust, thrown to this earth. It become dust, eaten by ants. So we have to throw away this physical body. That is the nature. But until we die, we maintain. We have to maintain. We have to maintain, of course. There is no wrong maintaining. Of course, we have to take care well. But knowing that our bodies one day face this kind of nature, that gives us insight. That is necessary. That is necessary to understand. And what about all the other things, so-called mind and all the positions? We have to leave behind all these positions. So now, even nowadays, why we are worried about even this current situation? Because that is due to our attachment. Why we have so much attachment? It is due to our ignorance. Now I would like to stop here, and then we can have a discussion, a few minutes. If you have any question, you can ask. You mean here? Yes. Actually, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, these are actually physical organs. Yeah, these are organs, just like a camera. So without without connection with the consciousness, these thing does not come to it. For an example, if there is no link with the I together with the consciousness, there is no I consciousness. That means we do not see. If there is no connection with the ear, we do not hear. If there is no link with nose and consciousness, there is no nose consciousness. That means there is no hearing. So all these organs connected together with the consciousness, then only we can experience sense door, particular sense door. Actually, I cannot see. I does not see without I consciousness. For example, when you are sleeping, you do not see, right? Yeah. Attention means that you are connecting the consciousness. Now, when I ask about your ear is very sharp now because it is connected with the consciousness. Your consciousness is open, but your tongue is not working, right? You do not know even what is going on with the tongue. Yes, your consciousness. One consciousness comes to exist one time, only one. So it jumped from one door to another door. So then we understand without consciousness, all the other doors are not functioning. Yes, mind of course. That's why I say without mind functioning, there is no any function of a doors. We call five sense doors. Thank you very much for the question. Of course, we have to, now I explain how the ordinary people thinking of ordinary people. So that ordinary way of thinking actually lead to suffering. Now the Buddha here, that is why instructed here to think in terms of anatta. So this I is conditionally arisen. Form is conditionally arisen. It is not something permanent entity. I mean, permanently existing. It is conditionally arisen. You know, even this is a very, very subtle process, and also a very basic level of process of the sensory experience. When we see, when we look at something, so it is necessary certain conditions to see that something. So for an example, there must be light, there must be attention, there must be the object, certain distance to see clearly. So we can understand these are the conditions to see things. So these one of them are not there. The functioning of seeing is not there. So we can then it is hard to control. That is why sometimes when we get old, our eyesight getting weak. No choice, right? Sometimes we do so many things and we try to recover. Sometimes it comes to times that irreparable. I mean, cannot repair again, right? That means we cannot control these things. It's because due to causes and conditions, these things come to exist. With relevant causes and with no relevant causes and conditions, these results come to end. So causes and conditions. When we understand this everything in the world come to exist due to causes and conditions without anybody's participation or control. We understand certain way of Dhamma. That means, in a way, everything is impermanence. We used to think in terms of impermanence, anicca. Then, if you do not understand this impermanence, we create dukkha. Actually, things are, as I mentioned earlier, conditionally arisen. That is why we cannot see permanent entity. So we cannot say, this is mine, this is myself. We can literally say myself, for my and me, but we must not cling into things saying that. This clinging is the problem.
Yes,
Upadana.
True.
When we have understanding of Dhamma, this upadana dissolve slowly. Yeah, slowly dissolve this upadana. When we do not have upadana, then actually our suffering come to slowly end. Yeah. So we understand, when we understand things are impermanent, things are not self, then we are not going to grasp, because we know it is useless to grasping. So when we have that kind of understanding, slowly it gives us a sense of let go. When we let go, we slowly actually release our all sort of suffering. Finally, we can very happily, joyfully say goodbye to everybody. So because we know all the possession actually temporary. I can say my computer, my handphone, my car, my family, my children. But these are actually not in ultimate sense. Literally we can sense, we must not attach to them, and we must help, and that's all. When we have this way of understanding, then it leads to have happiness. That is the Buddha's teaching, joy, happiness through the Dhamma. So that therefore we have to again and again go through this, again and again. Actually, that means we have to know this, we have to know and we have to see it. That is why, we have to experience. Now, how this sensory experience in my life is happening. So this is very interesting. We may have a lot of knowledge about this. This knowledge is necessary, but knowledge is only means to the end. That go to that level. Then we have to investigate how it is happening. So then we can see that. Then it becomes our own experience. This our own experience actually. Today we discuss about the second. This is very important, you know. This may not be very popular talk, but you know, Buddha said, this must be discussed. This must be shared. This is the place we must investigate always. Then, when we understand truly this, you don't need anybody else. You can have your own safe, your own refuge. Your own refuge is built already in you. No need any other external things as we call supernatural being for your help, as your help. So that is what Buddha wanted. Buddha wanted we as independent.